hot.
Yeah, this is the part you're supposed to be putting in the nice music because I'm dancing in my head, but I'm not hearing crap.
Oh yeah, I'm not hearing any music, Jay.
Oh, you didn't hear any music? Oh, that's not.
No.
Yeah, Jay, start it again. Let's get into the groove. Everybody go to the groove that he gives us. Ready? One, two.
Dance like that. Well, hold on. Let me make sure. Let me try something else here real
We
quick.
we wanna dance along with you. Yeah, so give us
Did you guys hear that?
Nope.
No sound effects. Well, we are live, so that's okay. Welcome to episode 14. A few technical difficulties here. My soundboard was not posted through to where it needs to be. Let me fix that for us real quick. We can't have that.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing we want to figure out live.
Yeah, thank you. We got that. How about now? Oh, yeah, we'll see. I can test it. See.
No, man! No, sir.
Nope. No, man! All right, we'll fix that another time.
Why don't you hum a few bars in the meantime? There we go.
There we go. Thank you.
There we go. Okay, we're back in the groove.
Welcome. Happy Sunday. We have very special surprise guests, Jordy and MJ, joining us once again.
Yay!
Welcome. We got a full cast of 20th Century All-Stars here as well. I'm loving the full screen here. Like if you can see, we've got a packed house of heads right now, which is awesome. So happy Sunday. Today's topic is bike rallies. We're going to dive right into it. I was just telling everybody that I am sunburnt and overstimulated from my trip to Born Free yesterday, which was an amazing show. And Jordy and MJ, you guys were just up in Laconia last week. Is that correct?
That's right.
Absolutely correct.
Nice, sure. And we're gonna hear all about it. But did it take you a few days to recover? I mean, you just ran 5.5 Ks, so you must be pretty well recovered already then.
Yeah.
We're used to it.
Yes. Yes.
Now, MJ, do you run as well, or is that just Jordy?
Oh no, we both do. Yes.
Oh,
She chases him, and he runs fast. So that's how he improved his. I understand he beat his better half today. But because she was running with a knife behind him.
Yeah, exactly. That's usually good. That's good motivation. The life of the wife is ended by the knife, right?
Okay.
All right. Well, welcome. It's good to have you guys here. We're going to dive in.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we're going to dive into the main topic shortly. I want to go with a couple of quick updates here before we get into some things. So, I was out on the East Coast a couple weeks ago. I did get a chance to see Carlos. Sorry I didn't get a chance to see anybody else, but it was, next time I'm sure there will be another time in the not so distant future. Awesome ride. I rented a 2015 883 low, which it was with 3,000 miles on it. So it was an interesting bike, very different feel from my 72.
Fill me in on that one, Jay, a little bit for the uninitiated.
So I have my Sportster is a 1200. This was an 883, so it's a little bit smaller displacement. I didn't notice anything really in the power or the weight of the bike. It's also a few inches lower, which I'm not sure how much lower than my bike it could be, but it was noticeably lower, which made a huge difference in turning, like how I had to counter steer. On my bike, the way my bike is a little bit more raked out too in the front, so I have a different set of degrees on the forks, and all I have to do is like just lean a little bit. I just think about turning, and my bike goes. This thing was like a pig. I had to like really lean on it to go, and it felt like the front end wanted to flop over to either side as I did it. So it just took some getting used to. But one other thing I'll say is for bike rentals, we talked a lot about where you rent from and who takes care of the bike, and renting from Eagle Rider where maybe you've got some 18-year-old stoner taking care of the bike versus renting from Twisted Road where it's somebody's personal bike that they ride and take care of. The first guy I rented from had multiple bikes, was a hardcore rider, mechanic, knew his stuff. I felt super comfortable. It was a great experience with the guy. This guy I rented from most recently was also really nice, but he was definitely not an experienced rider. First, he's got an 8-year-old bike with 3,000 miles on it, so that should tell you that he doesn't ride a lot. So what that meant was like everything was stock as could be. It also made me think afterwards, like if this bike has got 3,000 miles on it, when was the last time this guy brought this in to be serviced? Like, what's dry rotted on it or whatever. So something to think about. The guy was great. The bike was fantastic. I had zero problems with it whatsoever. So I don't want to besmirch him, but it did make me think. Go ahead, Carlos.
Let me ask you though, which for our readers and for myself, I riding for a while, and I found the fact that you found a alternate bike rental place or people or site that's very helpful for our readers, because I think most of us, if you ask the average rider, everybody thinks of Eagle Rider.
Yeah.
But when you came and provided an opportunity to know about something else. In the backup or in the introductory or the explanation of the model you want and the profile, I guess, of the people you're renting, is there a spot there that these people tell you, well, not only it's got 3,000 miles, but do they tell you or do they ask when was the last service? Was it serviced personally? Was it mechanic service? Blah, blah, blah. Did it ever go down or things like that? Is there any information that would give you, or this is something that you just go on a conversation level when how does that work?
It's all well, for the most part, yes. The answer is yes. It's the bikes and their history and maintenance records and equipment, available gear, all of that stuff is detailed. The degree to which each owner expands on that detail can vary. So you might have very thin descriptions that say it's got 3,000 miles regularly serviced. You might have somebody that tells you exactly, what's happened and every part that's on it. So it can be different. But my experience I use Twisted Road. Riders Share is another service. They're very similar. I had a great experience both times I rented with Twisted Road. It was seamless. And on this most recent rental, the original bike I rented canceled. So what happened, the person, very quickly, the person canceled a few weeks before the trip. And a person at Twisted Road contacted me and said, the owner has to take the bike in for maintenance. They won't have it back in time. Let's get you another bike. Tell me what you want and I'll make it happen. So I found another bike, and then it ended up being that, okay, she said, never mind, she will have the bike back in time, so you're all set. And what ended up happening is she didn't have the bike back in time, so I ended up having to, the day before I left, reserve another bike, and they made it happen, and I ended up renting, the same bike I saw as a backup. So, that's a really nice touch. It was the people reaching out to me. They didn't make it a hassle for me. They did it so that, to be real specific, all the financial stuff, I didn't have to go through and redo anything. They just took what I paid and reapplied it. So it was very smooth. So kudos to them. And going back to your question again, Carlos, you can tell people list out that information, and to expand on it, you can tell people who list out very little information, probably are not as serious riders as people who do. And you can also read reviews. I wrote this guy a really nice review. So, and if it was bad, somebody, you would say that. So it's based on that. You can kind of get a feel for the quality of the bike, the owner, that kind of stuff.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a great ride.
I ask you, say also, what are you responsible for? Let's say if they say something, you didn't bring the bike back in a good condition or something happened. What are your limits?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's very much like renting a car. There's a procedure they give you that you're supposed to follow when you pick up and drop off the bike, and they send the owner and the renter directions. So there's some structure around it, right? So it's like renting a car, and you take pictures. Which, common sense, I would do that anyway. But you're supposed to both take pictures, and you go around and do all of that. The first guy I rented from now uses my pictures in his listing, by the way. So you go around, you do that, and you sign off if there's any blemishes or issues on it, just like you would with a rental car. And then the insurance piece is a little fuzzy. To answer your question, what happens? You have to have insurance. So you've got to have, a qualified, motorcycle license. You got to have insurance. And Twisted Road forces you to buy up their an insurance package. You basically have three options where you could pick $20 a day, $50 a day, or $75 a day. Rider Share let me put in my insurance info, but I didn't end up renting with them, so I don't know if they would have required me to have an additional level. I would have done it anyway, because for $20 a day, my thought is it's a motorcycle, accidents happen. If I dump this bike for $60, if I'm renting it for 3 days, I can, walk away and say I'm done. So that was what I was responsible for. I paid 20 something a day for insurance, plus my own personal insurance that I have. you're responsible for any damages. And, he eyeballed the gas tank. Both times I brought the gas tank back full. I think you're a douchebag if you do, but, if you're renting from a person like that. So, but that was it. So I'm not sure what would have happened though if I messed it up. Yeah. So it was easy enough, a rental car, like if I'm renting at budget, I'm not buying the insurance, I've got my own, car insurance or whatever on it, but it was really good. It was a great experience. It was it was a really, like, the ride got messed up a little bit because my plans got changed. And this is quick kind of housekeeping, and another housekeeping item. It's going to sound like a bummer, but I promise you it's not. I wanted to, to let you guys know, my recording family and writing friends, that a few weeks ago I found out that was going to be laid off, that my job was being eliminated, which you might not. Oh, this is not my full-time job, if that comes as a shock to anybody. It wasn't a surprise. I knew this was coming. I work in corporate America, and I knew my company was struggling, and as early as January, so we knew this was coming. And I got a very generous separation situation. So basically kind of gives me the summer to kick back and, before I've got to go do something else. The kind of work I do, at least right now, is very easily, I can get contracts. I get a job offer at least once a day. And that's not because I'm special. It's just because there's a demand for what I do. So anyway, I'm not worried about that. So no bummer, sadness. And I knew this was coming. Thank you, Scott.
Oh, sorry. You said no bummer. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And the reason why I wanted to mention this is because it explains a couple of things. Like, when I was thinking about, I knew this was coming, as I mentioned. And when I was thinking about driving cross country or riding cross country, that was at a time when I thought this June trip I just took was going to coincide with me not having a job. As it turns out, I found out when I got back from the trip, which is fine still. So the good news again is I have, for the first time since I was probably 16 years old, I don't have a job. And I can, well, technically I do, but I can kick back for the summer a little bit, which is what led me to say, you know what, I think it's time to check out the Sturgis situation. So it's all,
Jay, it's not often that somebody gets laid off and says, this is a great opportunity to go on vacation and not worry about.
Bad at first. I don't feel bad anymore.
And then say, what is work? I'm paid off. So what? I'm going to take the summer off because the next job I get, I may not have time. So
yeah, I know. And I gotta, I have a pang of, I have a fairly strong work ethic. I'm there's a lot of things. I'm a flawed individual for sure, but I'm used to working, and I have a family, that I support 3 other people who rely on me, and so I'm used to needing to work. So not doing something is, counterintuitive for me or whatever. So it's an interesting chance to, to take a little bit of a break. And I got an email, somebody sent me a job offer a couple of days ago, and I thought about it for a second. I was like, nah, you know what? I'm going to just chill out for a little bit and see how this semi-retirement goes. But so anyway, one last housekeeping update. Speaking of jobs, one of the things that I need some help with is engagement and social stuff, and we can segue this into the topic of bike rallies and what we're. One of the things I need some help with is engaging with people and doing some stuff online. So I have a daughter who's a senior in high school, and who is going to need internship credits and things like that. And I have a business that I'm starting, so I'm going to make her my first paid intern and work out a structure. She gave me a few job descriptions, and basically she wants to do this as a career path. So she needs like some experience, and I need help. So I'll pay her for it, and all that'll be legit. But it'll give us the show notes will look better in the future. Let's just say that. So that will have some help going on.
It can't look worse.
Yeah, thanks. So let's talk about the topic du jour is bike rallies. And I don't know if you guys got a chance to see the artwork that I used for this week's show, the guy driving the bike and the woman trying to catch a hot dog. And I asked my wife, I'm like, is this too risque? And she was like, no, they both look like they're having fun. She's not chained to the bike, right? So and it's just
didn't Eddie say, where'd you get my picture?
Yeah.
Because I laughed out loud at that.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, exactly. yeah, who's gonna, and it's
I mean,
like,
I wouldn't say it, but she said it, so it was funny.
Million.
yeah, and I actually, as a sidebar, I asked my wife about that. I'm like, if we ever did that, like, and then I flashed back to being on a cruise with my wife, like straddling a pipe across a pool, beating other women with a pillow or something in some kind of contest. And I was like, yeah, she'd probably do it. But so that artwork was meant to kind of give us the something mental imagery of this unique, and I don't know, it's technically American. I don't want to say it's only American, but this unique American thing that is the motorcycle rally. I believe the world's first motorcycle rally was in Laconia. I did a little homework on that. And it's, it's quite an overwhelming sight. And it's, I don't know, Jordy and MJ, you guys have done several of these, and you agreed to come on the show short notice and tell us about your experience. Tell us all a little bit. What was Laconia like last week? And this was your first time
let's
there.
Let's fact check Jay here. Does this really only happen in America?
No.
No, we went to several rallies in Europe.
Yeah.
In a shock to nobody, Jay was incorrect.
Well, hold on. Wait. I did look this up. Technically, I think the first known motorcycle rally was Laconia in 1918. That was the first motorcycle rally in the world. So it is not, I shouldn't say it's not a uniquely American thing, but that was, and that could be wrong. That was after doing some legwork and fact checking. They happen all over the world, right? For sure. But the first one was technically in Laconia, which I thought was interesting.
Wasn't Europe pretty busy in 1918 with World War I?
Yeah, that could have been. Yeah, that's probably explained it.
Okay.
But how about a rally? Probably not a good time, right?
Let me segue, because MJ and Jordy's experience are very good, and I think I want to tie in because of and ask them, because you've been traveling and you've been packing, and your sense of packing and taking your refrigerator with you. You have two experts here who have learned to travel without the refrigerator and deal with a little box. Jordy, MJ, first of all, just thanks for showing up. But more importantly, okay, you both are riding on your own rides. You both packed. How many days, when you started looking at this trip, you were saying, how many days were you going to stay there? How long were you going to be staying there? How long was the trip, just in general? And then how much stuff did you carry on your bike? And I think that would help our listeners to say, okay, they packed for like 5 days, 6 days. We took this. It wasn't too bad. And so give us more respect. And then you could tell us about the hot dog eating, T-shirt buying, and the 3,000 crazy black T-shirts that you bought.
Well, we are very extreme, right? So I think we were out for 5 days.
From Wednesday to Monday.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
How long is the event?
The event it started on the 10th and it finished on the 18th.
Okay.
So literally it's like 8 days. It's an entire week.
Okay.
Including 2 weekends. But for working reasons, we couldn't attend the entire week. So we decided we left on Wednesday morning, arriving to Laconia around 3 p.m. that same day.
Wednesday morning, what time did you leave?
We left at 7 a.m.
6:45.
6:45.
6:30 from home, because something we usually do is that we pack the bike the day before.
Yeah.
That saves you a lot of time in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm more of a sleepyhead and cranky and so on. So it's it's good for the team that the bikes are packed the day before. And usually Jordy, it takes him more time to pack. I'm more like,
oh yeah.
And
we'll keep that personal stuff about packing there.
It takes me like an hour to go. Like if I'm going to take a half an hour ride, it's like 45 minutes of gearing up.
What's the distance that you had to travel? How far did you go on that one shot? How many stops?
I scheduled the trip. It's 300 miles, door to door, kind of. So I plan the trip on 2 hours ride, stop for breakfast, because it's supposed to be like 9. 2 hour ride or 2 hours and a half ride, stop for lunch, 2 hours and a half, arrive to the destination.
Do you, can I ask you guys how you, if you don't mind me interrupting,
No.
what do you focus on for breakfast and lunch? Is it fast carbs and protein, or like, do you have like a plan of how you're going to feed your body?
One thing that, yeah, sure, it makes a lot of sense.
Deep fried butter.
Actually, we discovered a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago, that there is something super convenient for breakfast that it's called oatmeal.
Okay.
It's one of those secret items that it's not in the menu, but if you go to a McDonald's and order oatmeal, they will serve you oatmeal with diced apples and cranberries.
Yeah.
It's more expensive than the breakfast burrito or whatever.
I love it.
But it's very convenient. It's very convenient because you find a McDonald's everywhere. So that's usually what we have for breakfast. We would stop for oatmeal and a hot tea.
That's a serious travel hack right there. I didn't know that.
Jay, start making that breakfast old and new way of the menu as prescribed. So oatmeal, make that the first item.
Yeah, my diet is Reese's peanut butter cups and Monster Energy drinks. I find that gets me where I need to go usually.
Jay, you can make the oatmeal with Monster Energy.
Oh, hey, quick sidebar. When I went to the show yesterday, I put a banana in my backpack. Big mistake, man. That thing got liquefied. I was like, I reached my hand in my bag when I got home last night. I was like, what the fuck is wet in here? Oh. Yeah, but,
all right.
I had a helper.
Let me go on.
Say that again,
I had a helper that streamlined his breakfast at work. He would have a big cup of black coffee and pour a packet of oatmeal into the coffee.
Oh shit!
He's like, I combined both my things at the same time, and he would eat his coffee with a spoon.
Oh no!
I don't know if I should be horrified or just like in awe.
let's get him back on track. Jordy, MJ,
so tell us, Laconia. This is a rally, and again, for you guys went up there for 5 days. It's an 8-day rally, and the purpose of the motorcycle rally is for people on motorcycles to get together and rally. So tell us what happened.
So the first thing is that we had to book the accommodation a year ahead.
Really?
In advance, because we knew that Laconia is always very busy, and it was the 100th anniversary, and because we knew we were going, we booked the accommodation a year in advance. And this time we didn't go camping. We went to an Airbnb. We found an Airbnb pretty affordable. It was it's like an attic in a garage that a couple was renting.
Perfect.
So it was fully equipped with like a kitchen, and that saves us a lot of money and a lot of time. And, we really pay attention to eating healthy. So that was a win-win, and, for running purposes and everything. So on that specific trip, we didn't pack our cooking gear or anything that I'm happy to show you, because everything falls into the same pot.
Right.
But that was covered. And then we went for the second half of the run.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, basically our program was, we knew that on Thursday there was an organized ride by the Laconia Harley Davidson.
Okay.
And the ride was a 90-mile escorted ride from the dealership to the Mount Washington Auto Road.
Oh, cool.
It was escorted, so we didn't have to stop at all in any traffic light or intersection. So it was really nice. And we also did one of the most famous roads in New Hampshire. It's called the Cancamagas.
Okay.
So it was a beautiful ride. Then it stopped at the base of the mountain, so it was up to you if you wanted to go up or not. We end up doing it because obviously it's one of the best destinations in the state. It was gorgeous. And then everybody was going home or going back on their own. Then on Friday, we did on our own a tour visiting several covered bridges.
Oh,
this
cool.
is something very, very typical in the Northeast states. And New Hampshire has a lot of covered bridges. Yeah. So we did that on our own. You can also feel the vibe and the atmosphere because there's a lot of bikes around.
Yeah.
But it's not something that we went with other motorcycles. It was just the two of us.
Yes.
Cool.
Did you go and register? one of the things there about with a hog group, or did you register at the hog tent to get your bragging rights as far as that? And then, and for people who are listening on rallies, yes, they're usually scheduled rides that you have the option. You could say, I don't want to go with 100 other people, or you look at to say, depending on the destination, so you have variety. Or I was looking at one rally that I didn't like any of the rides that was being offered. And I happened to be standing next to a local who said, this sucks. And I said, and you say, this sucks. Why do you say so? I says, I live here and this looks terrible. So I said, well, what are you going to do? He says, I'll take you around. So I was very fortunate that I had a local who took me off the beaten path. And that's always a dream, that you go to a rally, you don't go with 100 other people, you go with somebody who really knows the back roads,
Yeah, go with somebody, period. I can just to interject, and I ride solo a lot, but one of the things that sucked about yesterday's show, there was only one thing I could say that sucked, was being by yourself is lame at these things. Nobody is by themselves. I mean, I was a point I almost felt like a creep being like, who's this guy like who's by himself? Even the cops had people with him, It's like, so it was Scott.
Jake,
what's
quick
up?
question.
Yeah.
You defined a rally by using the word rally. You said, a rally is where a bunch of motorcycle people get together and rally.
Used the root word, yeah.
What do you do? Do you just sit around and talk about tires? Like, give me a like a layman's idea of what actually goes on at these things.
I think in addition to, first of all, you're getting a critical mass of people in one area, so that's the obvious part. And Jordy and MJ just talked about scheduled rides of the area. That's one of many other things. So. I'm curious to know, besides the scheduled rides, what other events did you guys plan on attending and go to? What other things did you see that caught you by surprise? That'll give Scott a little flavor for what goes on.
Sure. I mean, obviously, there are on these events, there are a lot of hot spots where you can find millions and millions of vendors. And by vendors, I mean since t-shirts,
sure,
hats, patches, knives,
tattoos.
But you can also find brands of accessory brands or motorcycles that are installing and selling products.
Oh.
So that's also another thing that people do. We went to in that specific Laconia, had a hotspot on the New Hampshire Speedway race, whatever. So in there they were having, I think it was BMW, Indian, and Harley Davidson. They had demo rides, so you could pick and choose
that's cool.
they have on their catalog this year, and you can go for a ride. And they also had races. Obviously, the American Motorcycle Association had several races there.
That's cool.
And Scott, like Jordy said, that's an opportunity. I mean, yes, you bought 1 million t-shirts, you got your fill of t-shirts, you want to take a break, but then you suddenly realize, wait a minute, I've been looking for that widget, that radio, that part, or I can't seem to, I'm having issues with my whatchamacallit, and you look up and you find out that vendor that you couldn't quite get it together, and you're lucky enough to say people use those rallies also to have their custom paint work. These guys are amazing. They do paint. Okay. They're supposing you say like Jay's talking about his gas tank. Supposing he goes to that rally, the gas tank is ready, but he sees a guy up there, says, "Can you paint my tank?" or "Put this thing," or "I'm having problems." It's an excellent opportunity to talk to people, have a custom guy do work on your bike while you're hanging out, watching their shows, things like that. And that's what Jordy is talking about,
Yes. There were also scheduled, but we missed that because sometimes it's spontaneous. You have stunt riding, people doing like wheelies and burnouts and all this stuff. I heard that in Laconia, it happened sometimes in the middle of Road 3, in front of the Octane Saloon.
And we didn't see that, but we could see all the marks on the road. Yeah. The road surrounding Weir's Beach, which is the
headquarters of
the headquarters of the event with all the vendors and everything. Right. You can clearly see in the road surrounding that area all the marks. It's like
there's a classic American roadhouse up in the hills here in San Diego called Josie's Hideout Saloon. That is a famous spot, and the road in front of that place is like, there every Friday, Saturday, Sunday there's bikes lined up, and there are people, like it's tradition, like you got to go and do a burnout or a wheelie or whatever. So it's condoned there, but it's also like in the middle of nowhere, so it's a little easier.
Jay,
and obviously music in concerts. There are a lot of live music in places like in that case in Laconia, we have the High Octane Saloon that has music live. On the dealership, you can see music live as well in different places. So
yeah. There's so many cottage industries that surround motorcycling as a culture and a hobby, or whatever you want to call it. And not only like so many of the big vendors that I saw yesterday, the show that I went to, but also people selling used parts, like just hard to find things, leather goods, lots of handmade stuff that's like you just can't, even though the internet has made it easy to find everything, there's stuff that you just still can't seem to get. And there were people painting Simpson helmets had a huge display, and I was really surprised to see live painting. To your point, Carlos, about how much live artwork was happening. And not only was I surprised to see it,
and very quick.
Yeah, I was surprised to see it. I was watching a dude. I looked down and I'm like, wow, that guy's painting a helmet here live. That must be, maybe he's doing like a show or something. And I looked,
Scott,
and there was a line of dudes. There was a line of dudes holding their helmets, waiting to get there, and it's like 100 degrees out, and they were waiting. But very, very cool.
Sounds awful.
Just Jay, let me ask you. You mentioned that you went to see what Jordy and MJ did was a full rally, and I mean that's a 1,000%. They got everything, rides, vendors, the whole thing, and it's over a prolonged period. You said that you went to your rally.
Yes.
Right? Was it really a rally, or it was a vendor's display, because I have an issue with a rally. If you're telling me you're going to put 100 vendors in a parking lot, to me it's not. It's not
a flea market.
It's a flea market motorcycle. If you're telling me not only am I going to go there, is it going to be similar to Laconia, Sturgis, Daytona, Myrtle Beach, where it's rides, music, T-shirts, yada yada yada, over a period of time. Was it like that?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, and just to compare it to Laconia, and then we can maybe talk a little about go back to Sturgis, because I think that in Laconia, I think there's a contrast. The event that I went to yesterday was called Born Free. It's the 14th year that it's happened. I believe it started here in California, but they're doing it in Texas as well now. And it basically the event, and I'll tell you, the event is 2 days. And it's a custom chopper. The centerpiece of the event is custom chopper show, and it's plus they also had a custom FXR and performance bagger competition as well. So there's bike competition and there's main classes. It also offers a grass pass, which is you'd ride in, and instead of just coming to the show, you can actually ride your bike into the show and be on the grass. That means the bikes are just parked everywhere, and people are milling about. And so you become part of the show if you want to do that as well. And that's like an additional $20 or whatever to do that. So there's bikes everywhere. There's vendors and all the shopping you can imagine. There was music. They had a Motley Crue cover band when I was there yesterday. It was pretty cool. They had the Ives Brothers, which is like the guys who ride around in a circle, like the thing of death or whatever. Yeah,
the ball of death. Yeah,
and you catch the bills. That was insane. And lots of other various types of things going on, but several competitions.
Jay, I'll ask you, because Jordy and MJ are eating their low glycemic index oatmeal with apples over there. Did they have the kind of stand where you can just we'll deep fry anything you bring us?
Yeah, they
did.
Also
they had good food.
Yeah, it's funny. I was making fun of myself. The banana thing was kind of funny because I had a banana and a granola bar and peanut butter crackers, and I packed like a 4-year-old going on a field trip to eat
Capri Suns.
Yeah,
right.
But everybody else, they had every kind of debaucherous food you can imagine. But it was funny, at one point I heard one of the guys on the main stage saying, he's like, we got vegan food and vegetarian food for all you assholes out there too. It was lighthearted, but they had everything covered. Tons of beer, tons of food, and again, tons and tons of vendors, swap meets, lots of bike shows and bike competitions. So that's basically what this was, to answer the first part of your question. The difference, I think, like with this rally, in addition to it only being a 2-day event, is it's culturally geared towards the Southern California chopper culture, which is guys in shorts with their socks pulled up, riding, Brixton, flannel shirts, scraping pegs and spreading legs. And, it's
Wow.
very,
riding their cholo bikes.
no, not all. There's definitely have a lot of the Viclas. You have a very heavy Mexican influence in the area, but it's predominantly this kind of edgy SoCal vibe. Lots of hipsters. You're close. The show was in Irvine, and the mountains behind Irvine, so you're not that far from LA. So it was like a lot of definitely hardcore. It was a real mix of like people I would expect to see at Coachella, and like more hardcore kind of like there was lots of, like, you could tell, like when I parked my bike, and I'm getting, de-gearing for an hour, I'm watching people walk in, and there's lots of people that are dressed like they're going to a concert, but they're not coming on bikes and stuff. So it was a mix of it, I think, and I'll find out, but to me, I think this was a more edgy kind of SoCal culture than it was like a Laconia or Sturgis will be. And I know I've been yammering, but I'll just squeeze this in now because one of the points I wanted to make is, well, actually, let me stop there and I'll let you guys jump in. So that
I got one quick follow-up question on that, because, and I always wondered this because it always seemed to me like Sturgis was this thing, this rally where everybody goes and then they go to bars and drink, but you can't have drinking and driving going on, and you can't have 10,000 people drunk off their ass trying to ride out at the same time. How does that all work?
Well, unfortunately, that's the way it is. People drink and drive.
Yeah, it doesn't a lot of times.
Okay.
That's why there's a lot of police there. Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, MJ.
Something I wanted to say is that motorcycle rallies in the US, Harley Davidson rallies, which is basically what we've done here, are events thought for men.
Yeah.
Right? So this is something that, I don't want to get mad or, right. I know the way it is and I just go with the flow, right? Yeah. But those are events thought for men, where women are basically like in the back with a hot dog or braless in Sturgis, or, and it's very upsetting and very annoying. I try not to think about it, but it's the way it is. So
like a misogynist kind of thing then?
Yes.
Yeah, it's very tribal. And it's, right? Sorry, go ahead, finish, MJ. I'm glad you I'm really glad you mentioned this, because I was a middle-aged white male, I'm not I'm the last person anybody wants to hear from, but I'll explain it this way. I was talking to my wife about the rally this morning, and I said, because this segues into what I was going to say. What I didn't do yesterday was network. I didn't talk to lots of people. I didn't meet lots of people. I didn't get to plug the show. I didn't get to talk bikes with people. I didn't talk to anybody because it was not because I couldn't, but it was a very kind of rowdy sort of like into itself crowd. And as I was describing that for my wife, it was very hot. It was very overwhelming. So it was too much. And I said, one of the other weird things is that I'm not used to this. I don't go to a lot of events, but there were mostly naked women everywhere. And what I mean by that is not like they were there to attend the event, but they were, like really, I'd said to my wife asked me the other day, she came out in the living room. She's like, are these shorts too short? And, I was like, no, or whatever. And I said to my wife when I got home last night, I'm like, how you asked me about if those shorts were too short? I said, I saw a lot of people today who probably didn't have somebody at home to ask. So whatever. Anyway, and you should, people can wear whatever they want. That's not my point. But like, I just noticed that it was very like, there was almost sort of like a Roman kind of like debaucherousness to it that was a little bit, and my wife made, like, I didn't know where to look, and I'm one of those people who's uber paranoid about, being, so everywhere you look, there's somebody, it was just crazy. And I thought that was one of the things that was a little bit, it wasn't a crowd that was for like mingling and networking. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, but I'm curious, but from a female perspective, do you go to these things and you're just hit on by slobs all day long? Like, is it even fun, or does it depend on the event?
Yeah, we try not to go to specific events that we know we are not going to enjoy, right? So
yeah, like the Jello wrestling events, right?
Exactly. But in Laconia, we went to the High Octane Saloon, which is a must stop.
Yep.
And we had like a beer, whatever. There was a
a
band,
really good one.
and they were doing burnouts and this and that. And out of the blue, there's like everybody in the center of the stage, and they are doing that contest. I don't know how it's
wet t-shirt.
Wet t-shirt.
Oh boy, yeah.
Right? And that's so demeaning, right? I mean, and you look around and people are like crazy, like paying attention, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
I'm like, and we stayed for like 2 or 3 minutes but it's very sad. In the end, I think it's very sad because these old women, it's not about empowering your body and feeling confident in yourself. I don't, that's not how I see it. And so, it's like, okay, let's go somewhere else. But another point I want to make, it's about shirts, right? So, you go to a rally, let's get a shirt. Women's shirts suck.
Oh, okay.
They have the worst designs. They only do like fairies and
butterflies,
angel wings, and the whole deal.
Jay, market opportunity here.
I'm telling you, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
What Jordi gets, I want a skeleton, like in a bike. And something like and
what you should check out. I don't know. This is a good conversation, and it's interesting that I mentioned wanting to network and talk to people, and one of the things you should check out. I think it's VIVELOCI, Vivaloki. There are, I won't take us too far down a rabbit. Long story short, I'm trying to copy other people that I see marketing shows and motorcycle media, and what do they do that's attractive, and that you watch what other people do and you learn. And the people that I watch most are women riders. And if you look at Vivaloki, is what I found through this is there are lots of groups that are, I don't know if this is an uprising or if it's just kind of a change in culture, but there are, like, if you want to find, there are other islands that are starting to pop up in motorcycle culture that are saying, there's other ways to do this or whatever. And I don't want to touch off like a cultural war, but it's something you might be interested in checking out. I'll send you guys the link. But I found
subgroups of more inclusivity for different types of riders.
Yeah, there are women riders who are trying to build groups together and say, okay, and it's everything from like that group Vivaloki that I mentioned. They tend to be like more sport bike riders. There's also women Viklas riders down where I am that are, you're talking about like in hundreds of these women that are like 5'2", riding bikes with ape hangers like this and giant fishtail fin pipes and stuff. So it's interesting to see that shift in the culture. But similar to that, you mentioned the drinking thing too. I don't drink. I mean, I used to drink years ago, so I'm not an angel, but I don't drink anymore. And one of the reasons I can ride a motorcycle, I didn't take this up when I was younger, because when I was a drinker, I knew better than to think like this is going to be a bad combination. But I do think it's part of the culture, but they were pumping a lot of booze out in this place. I mean, there was more beer than there was water to be found. And again, I'm going to sound like, if you know me personally, you know that I just put out a shirt that says everything I love to do is illegal. So that I'm not an angel, but I think there's a weird combination of pumping, of something that's motor vehicle related being so booze centric. At least that
as a promoter, you've got to be responsible about it, right?
Yeah, this wasn't a camping event either, because a lot of like Sturgis and Laconia, there's although there's tons of people, just as many people riding, there's also some people who are technically not going anywhere, although it's not everybody. So it's a definitely. And I noticed it. I'll shut up after this. I noticed as I was going out of the parking lot, exiting the event, a dude shot out of a side road next to me, and it sprung into my mind like I got to pay a little closer attention because a lot of these people are fucking tanked.
That's because of all the drinking.
Say that again.
Are there a lot of accidents because of the drinking? I assume.
I read a lot about Sturgis, and this I'll ask Jordi and MJ what you said. And in my prep for Sturgis, I did a lot of reading this week, and a lot of what people said I read number of threads that people had posted about, what advice do you have? And one of the consistent threads in all those threads was the drinking aspect, like don't drink and drive, park your bike. And first of all, there's cops everywhere. And second of all, there's accidents constantly. Like people are crazy, and so I don't know if that's true, but apparently it's can be very dangerous. So what's your experience?
Let me before they go in there.
Yeah.
Before we go back to Laconia, and I just wanted them because they Jordy and MJ put an excellent thing up on their USA on Harley of 5 must dos at Laconia. So I'd like them to repeat that.
Yeah.
Just to share with. And the second thing is my own feeling is he already explained the distance to go from point A to point B, and know the weather.
Yeah.
The weather where you're going to, is it going to be very hot? Is it going cold? And is it going to rain? And I think I saw a picture of you guys with the rain. And so we're going to make sure that the rain gear is where? Right on top, at the top. So talk about the 5 things and talk about rain gear and driving in the rain, and then we can segue into something else. Go ahead.
Okay, so the 5 things that we mentioned were obviously in Laconia, it's Waves Beach. It's that half of a mile where it's next to the lake and you have all the vendors. That's a must do because you want to see all that's the rally atmosphere, right? You feel like you are in a rally. They close the road and only bikes are allowed, and everything is packed with bikes parked there. And the moment that you start the engine, there are 3 bikes waiting for that spot to
awesome.
park the bike. It's really unique.
That's cool.
The second one was the High Octane Saloon, because they have good music live and it's huge, and even if you don't drink, you have to go and see it. The third thing that we mentioned was the Speedway. It's another hot spot where there are vendors and you can see the races. The fourth thing that we mentioned was, because we are Hawk members, we think it's a good opportunity to go to the Hawk tent, Harley Davidson tent, check in, they give you a pin. And they also had a dealership challenge where you can visit 6 of the 7 dealerships in the area. They give you a poker chip that we have somewhere.
I love the poker chips. Yeah, that's cool.
And you can obtain a prize.
Yeah.
In that case was a hat.
That's cool.
So they force you to ride and do things. And the fifth thing that we mentioned, that it's necessary to, yes or yes, it's rides, because the area is beautiful. The rides are awesome, and you have to ride. And the bonus that we mentioned is that it rained, even if it was for 5 minutes, it rained every single day.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It was that hot that storms come out of the blue. They last for 10 minutes. I remember when we did the covered bridges that we saw the storm coming. We parked the bikes to get to have lunch. It started raining for 15 minutes, like super heavy. Then it stopped. The sun went out. The roads were dry.
Yeah.
And it was when we
sounds
finished.
like New England.
Yeah, well, it also sounds like Florida where I lived.
Exactly.
And I had a
So it
Jeep
was
then,
like,
and you could
okay,
smell
perfect.
when it was about to rain. I'm sure it's
Yes,
similar to
yes,
motorcyclists.
That's
And
cool.
I would say, continuing with and taking this path to Sturgis again, that's the same case in Sturgis.
Yes.
So rain gear, it's a must, and you have to have it with you every day, wherever you are.
Yeah.
Because these kind of storms that last like 20 minutes happen to us every single day when we were there.
Yeah. I heard the hail can be quite you got to check the weather. There's pretty frequent hailstorms. It's 50 at night, 90 during the day. It's really crazy weather swings. So I'll definitely have the rain gear packed for that trip. And there's a lot of people that said, with Sturgis is supposedly pretty wild, that, there's a theme that I think you're hearing it here, which is, if your goal is not to be at the wet t-shirt contest or, drinking until you pass out, that, it's the ride to the place is really the experience. And then the rides in the area are the experience. And one of the guys in the Harley Davidson forum, this reply was so simple to a question about, what should I do at Sturgis? And it was, drive by so you can say you were there, and then go see Devil's Tower or something else,
Yeah. This is, and to add to that, Sturgis, I had the unique opportunity. I went to Sturgis, but I didn't want to go at rally time.
Yeah.
I really, truly wanted to enjoy I've been enough rallies that I don't have to see the burnouts. I don't have to
Right.
see the whatever. And I said to my friend and Scott, my neighbor, my buddy there, who lives in Parker, Colorado.
Oh yeah, right next door to me. Yeah.
Right. I flew out there, and he offered me a great opportunity. He says, "I'll take you to Sturgis in my RV, and we'll tow the two motorcycles to the designated RV campground." And it was in the central area where that was our base of operations. And he took me to everything from Deadwood to the Black Hills up to Crazy George, Crazy, Mount Rushmore, etc. I got to see everything in a non-rally event because I wanted to enjoy the roads. I wanted to enjoy. I didn't want to go with. If I wanted a T-shirt,
Yeah.
I didn't want it to be charged 3 times the price,
Yeah.
waiting 10 times the frickin' thing, and I didn't want people slobbering over me and paying triple a frickin' beer.
Yeah.
If I wanted to buy a bottle of water for $1.25, not $5,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And to me, it was so, especially I hadn't seen this guy in over 15 years.
Yeah.
So it was very special. Plus, he let me his wife's CVO.
Oh, I thought you said he let his wife. Like, whoa.
I finished that.
Okay, yeah.
And now, I was very nervous because his brand new ultra classic $40,000 motorcycle. I was very nervous, and I put my arm around her. I said, "Yo, you sure you want? I can rent the bike." She put her arm around me. She says, "Honey, you drop it, you buy it." And I just want to say that if riding the environment and you don't need the T-shirt, you don't need the crowded bars, then go do a Sturgis. If you've never done a rally where it's insanity and you say you did it, it's like doing Rolling Thunder, Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
I must have done it umpteen times, but after a while you say, I don't want to go. I want to pay respects. I want to enjoy the ride, not be a stampede.
Part of a circus, yeah.
Part of a circus.
Well, for your
and that's the edification. That's where I enjoyed Sturgis, because I truly enjoyed the road. I really enjoyed riding it. I enjoyed the countryside. I mean, we stopped for the buffalo, and my friend, and I'm nervous as all shit seeing buffalo while crossing the thing. And I said to him, "There's buffalo there." "Yeah, just don't move." What do you mean to move? What if they no, just hang loose. Just hang. I'm like, "Okay, we're cool."
Well, for your validation, Carlos, interestingly enough, that one of the things I heard from many people was exactly what you just said. And when asked for advice about what to do at Sturgis, and I thought this was interesting, one of the other common threads was to not only just drive by and say you were there, but also to go the week before. That's what a lot of people said, is because there's a lot already starting to gear up and go the week before.
The restaurants were empty. Yeah. You ate where you wanted to eat, not because you had to eat it. Yeah. You had to pick and choose. People were friendly. They weren't out to price gouge you, treat you with all this shit. And so you just have to, I mean, if you've never done a rally, sure, I would tell you to do, doesn't matter, Sturgis, Laconia, Daytona, whatever, just to get the feel of it.
Well,
but if you really want to enjoy the countryside, just ride it.
Yeah, so this is what my tentative plan is, and this is all based on weather and whatever else pops up. So I'm currently sans obligation. So if I wanted to leave for Sturgis today, I could, right? But so my plan was to leave the week starts on Friday the 4th. So my plan is to leave roughly a week before that. I'm going to stop in Denver and see this clown on our screen, Scott here, and then go from Denver up to Sturgis. I booked a place in Keystone, I think it is, which is down where Mount Rushmore is, and I booked that for I think like Friday night and Saturday night. And my plan was, if I only go through Sturgis on Friday, the first day of the thing, and drive through, I'll have been there. It's the first day. It's going to be pandemonium, I would assume. But I can go from there to, basically I can use that 2 days to go Devil's Tower, Mount Rushmore, wherever, and then start making my way back south. So I'm planning to get there basically right as it starts. But I could even back that up further. I could technically go earlier if I wanted and get there, the week before or whatever. But that's right now what I'm planning on doing is just overlapping. But I'm not staying in Sturgis. I'm staying at a place that's right near Mount Rushmore, which I think is like maybe 30 minutes south of Sturgis. I want to do Mount Rushmore, and I want to do Devil's Tower, and I want to do Sturgis. Those are the 3 things. So I think that's
I would suggest one more thing on your transit.
What's that?
You should ride to the top of Pikes Peak while you're out here.
Yeah, that there's a couple
it's
things.
Cool. I've only done it in a car,
Yeah.
and my wife was driving, and I still my knuckles are still white because it was terrifying to me with the lack of guardrails, but it was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, that sounds like a good one. So
Right,
yeah,
Eddie-
there's other stuff. There's a tribute to Crazy Horse, which
Yes, we
sounds really
went.
interesting.
We went there. Eddie, aren't you going to Sturgis?
Yeah.
You're going during rally time, or you're
What's
going to
your
go
plan?
What's your plan to Sturgis?
Going there for the rally.
Okay,
Okay.
please post lots of photos because I like watching your Instagram. I
Oh,
generally don't like people,
thank
but I
you.
like other people who like people, which is weird. So enjoy it for me and put some photos out there so I can see what it's like.
Yes, I will.
All right, great.
All my followers out there.
So when are you leaving, Eddie? When are you riding out?
I can't remember the date, but I guess we're gonna talk. I'm riding from here to Virginia to pick up my friend, and then we're gonna ride from there to Sturgis, and I'm gonna spend. It's a 2-week trip.
Wow, cool.
So how many are you riding out? And what is like you just said, you're going from Queens to Virginia, and then from Virginia you're meeting the folks there, and then riding
No, it's
on.
just one person. I'm riding with one person.
Oh, okay. So it's just one other. So
Sturgis.
Cool.
okay.
During the rally, for the rally.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Mike,
Okay.
you haven't said a lot today. Have you done the rally thing? Is this your thing? Is it not your thing?
I've done Americade several times. I never the couple of times I tried to get to Laconia, I could never get a room.
Oh,
That
I
was
will
less than-
never do another rally with Mike Considine because he snores. Even though he's a family member, but he snores.
Yeah,
I will
we,
never.
Carlos
I
and
snore too.
and
I'll
a
go
friend of
with you,
mine-
Mike. We could probably win one of those wet T-shirt contests too. I think I've
we,
put on a few pounds this year.
Carlos and I, we went to Americade one year, and a friend of mine, and we stayed at the Bates Motel.
No kidding.
And,
Oh,
Wow.
and it was, I mean, like there was like 5 carpets on the floor that kept going up like a pyramid.
Oh my god.
Shower had a
Oh, it
rubber
wasn't
mat
the
on
actual
floor.
Bates Motel.
One of
It
those
was,
places.
Yeah, the shower had a rubber mat on the floor because the shower had rusted away, and there was like a nozzle on the top, felt like a power wash. It actually hurt to shower. You literally had to move really quick because it was like a laser
A little
beam burning through your
stinging
body.
little-
oh my
So
God.
the previous tenants' underwear was hanging from the light post
Oh my
because they
God.
forgot to
Stop
pack
it! Stop! 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 Stop!
I
Those belong
Ah!
to the evidently.
I was very
Ah!
surprised. I found lots of places to stay.
My bar of comfort is low,
Mm.
and that was like right at the threshold of comfort.
And
then
sleep under the bike.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then we left early because my friend and I both snore, and Carlos was dying, and we hit like a 5-hour rainstorm after we left.
Oh,
It was
God.
pouring rain the entire way home.
Oh,
So you didn't need that
But,
that painful shower after all.
Oh, I'm telling you, it hurt.
yeah. I was surprised to find. I went on. I think it was if I used hotels.com or whatever I did. I forget. No, it was Road Trippers. I was surprised to find as much availability around outside of Sturgis as I did. I didn't look in. You
got to find out how far.
Yeah.
See, like with Americade, they tell you, oh, the hotel's on Lake George. Like, oh,
Yeah.
great. Lake George is like a half a mile wide and 25 miles long.
Yeah.
So you could be 30 miles away from
It could be a long
Lake
ride
George
away from where
and
you need
still
to
be on the lake.
Yeah, that's
know,
I
and,
tried to position it at the place I'm staying at, and they had like hotels and motels, but it's actually like a lodge. Looks like somebody converted like cabins into like a more modern lodge kind of situation. So
I would imagine that the rise of Airbnb has probably been good for these kind of things too.
yeah,
Well, the people in America, they rent sheds as rooms.
yeah,
Like you'll see a house that has like 8 Home Depot sheds, and you come in and use the bathroom in the house, and you're actually paying for the one room
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I saw some pretty interesting, like, creative things that people. It's like
In
a
oh yeah,
Sturgis, in
Yeah,
Sturgis,
yeah, Scott. At these towns, they wait for that one rally. I mean,
oh yeah,
when you go to Sturgis, and you see it's dead. I mean,
Yeah.
it's these people are. This is their big moment where their economy goes up exponentially. So
right.
suddenly, and they may have normally a 5-man police force. That day they have 100 cops from various counties because everybody's working on overtime, to make
Yeah.
sure that everything is okay.
It sounds similar to when I went to the NASCAR race in Talladega in Alabama. You're in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and it's like here comes the town for that one event. What were you going to say?
I said one time we went, and the waitress was telling us that
I met
she
Jordy
makes
and MJ,
6 months. She makes 6 months of her income in that week.
Yeah.
For American.
Okay.
Yeah,
You know.
it's a one spot.
In Sturgis, a lot of people rent their front yard to allow people to set the tents, and they
Wow.
use the bathrooms sometimes.
Wow.
But even in Sturgis, they have they habilitate places where you can shower for $5.
Yeah.
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 And
Really
they
interesting.
they do 90% of their budget of the year is done that week.
Yeah.
For a while, I told Jordi we need to set up like a business in Sturgis and just work for a month, and just ride the 11 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
sell bars of soap or something for that one weekend.
It really is fascinating.
I want to bring something up.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks, we're going to Milwaukee for the 100, for the homecoming event, and we're going to try something new in that trip. In terms of accommodation. On our way back, we are going to be using a platform called Bunk a Biker. I don't know if you know about that.
Oh, yeah.
And so we can report back.
Yeah.
We are excited.
Yeah.
We have reached out to a couple of people, and let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious. I'm going to be doing that at Scott's house. And with that,
wait till you get the bill. You're not gonna like
it.
It's
very different because he's not a stranger.
Yeah,
that's true. I don't think my wife would be down with me hosting strangers on their way to Sturgis.
I am. That's like the journey is a more important part right now than the destination. Somebody said, unless you're dead set on getting drunk and passing out at the Buffalo Chip, just drive through, get a T-shirt, and see it. So I'm. We'll see. I can't see it there. Your background's not working, Carlos. But I also have to
I'm
get
the type of person, Jay, that wants to tick a box and say, "Yeah, I've seen that thing," but the thing is not my actual destination. It's not. I'm not doing it for the thing. I'm doing it to be able to say, "Yeah, I did it."
Right, and I want to get in. I'm traveling with my dog, Larry. Will be riding with me. And I rode yesterday. Larry, with no dogs allowed at the event yesterday, and I've quickly become very attached to riding with Larry because I missed having him, and every time I got off the bike, like at a gas station, it's almost like having a kid. You're like, did I get him in? So I won't go without him, but I definitely got some good pet friendly places that I'll be staying at. So I know we're right up on time. As I'm getting the gentle prod, and as usual, we could continue talking forever, which is good.
Before we leave,
yes.
Before we leave, I just want to give a final tip.
Yes.
We don't drink, but I think you should consider getting Budweiser because they have this special edition can.
Oh yeah.
For the 120th anniversary of Harley Davidson.
Oh, I saw those. Yeah. Oh, I will.
So yeah, you should consider that.
Yeah, I can. My wife will put down a few beers if needed.
She'll empty it for you. It's not a problem.
She'll take one for the team. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's really cool.
Do you know what? To your point, MJ, I have oh God, I can't even think, Daytona, 6 cans of there that I tried to sell. Nobody would buy it off from in the good old days of those commemorative cans there. I should hang them up there, but I know what you're talking about.
I saw somebody recently, we're out of time, but it's weird you should mention that because I heard somebody trying to sell commemorative cans and not inexpensively too. So I have to see where that was, but all right, listen, I know we're up at time and it's Sunday, so I want you guys to get back to your families and everything that you've been doing. And This has been a fantastic conversation. I could talk about this all day. So we'll have to pick it up in the next episode, the next show. Jordy and MJ, we're gonna definitely ask you guys to come back again. We love having you on the conversation. This has been a fantastic chat as always. Before I let everybody go, anything, Jordy and MJ, you guys, Carlos mentioned your 5 tips for Laconia, so check out USA on Harley on YouTube. Anything else you guys got going on?
No, our next big thing is Milwaukee.
Sweet.
And we're also going to do a collaboration with Ohio Windy 9.
Nice.
Which is a group of roads.
Sweet.
Winding roads. So, we'll keep an eye out.
Ohio's cool. Yeah, that you'll have a good time. That's awesome. Well, we'll check that out, and make sure you check out Jordy and MJ's YouTube channel as well. Any other closing words? Anybody else got anything before we wrap it up?
No.
Going around the horn?
It's just the hot part of the summer, but thankfully to me, we've passed the solstice, so the daylight hours are getting shorter. I'm the guy that likes it when it gets dark at 4 p.m. I know that doesn't work for motorcycle riders, but I'm in my element now. We're getting shorter every day.
I do kind of miss Christmas, but
Jay, you did ask for a story.
Yes.
About a rally, and I'll try to make it. And Jordy and MJ may have heard this because it deals with a certain ex-Hog member, but that who will remain anonymous at this point in time. Imagine this rally was on the border between New York and Canada. Okay, so you have 100 people riding into Canada, which they have to check every single rider. So they approached me knowing that I had worked in government services, etc. And they said, Mr. Verone, would you like to be the tail gunner of this group and bring up the rear? And I said, of course. And the group, and I saw us take off towards the border, Customs Border Patrol, and I see us going through, and then it stopped. And so I waited, and I see an officer coming up to, are you Mr. Verone? I said, yes, sir, I am. They want you in the office. And I come up to the office, and I'm seeing a certain individual from our Hog chapter sitting on a bench without silver bracelets on his hand. Oh. And I see him. As he sees me, he starts cursing in this police station and calling these nice Canadian police officers a lot of names by cursing them out, etc. And I said, please keep your voice down, you know. And as we continued on, he says, they weren't supposed to find that paperwork. I didn't have the paperwork, etc. So it happened to be that, and consideration for personal courtesy, the police officer came back to me, says, tell your friend he's not coming into Canada because his paperwork is not in line, and I'm not going to impound his bike nor arrest him. He will just make a U-turn and go back into New York, and we will just call it bygones.
It sounds like a very Canadian way of handling it.
Very Canadian way in there, of which my friend was now still cursing and saying this MF and stuff like that. I said, if you open up your mouth one more time, I'm going to walk away, and I'm not going to give a rat's ass, and I'm going to go on the ride. He proceeded I left him there. I went on the ride. It was beautiful in Canada. I later found out that New York didn't want to let him back in because his paperwork wasn't in order. And that's my funny story of the day. And I said, and every time, and I did ask him, do you have any drugs in there? No. Do you have any weapons? No. And every time we see each other, we don't see each other that much anymore, but every time we only use the word, when I see him, I say, Canada. And he goes, never again. You know?
That's funny.
That's it for now. That's my story.
Well, I appreciate that. That's a good one, and a good last tip to end on. If you're going to ride, especially if you're going to cross borders, know who you're riding with, and because their luck is your luck. So keep that in mind. Well, as always, I thank everybody for being here. Really, thank you so much for taking your time out. I really appreciate the advice and tips, and the Sturgis planning is in full swing. So I'm not done with you two guys, Jordy and MJ. I definitely will have more questions.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.
Hit that music. Guys. Hit the music, baby.
Yeah,
come on.
No, still no. Oh, you know what it is? How about now?
now.
How about now?
That was not it.
All right, let's all sing.
All right,
Let's
next
all sing
week
the
I'll have
jingle.
I'll have it back for next week. Wait, hold on. I can do this. All right,
There we
cheers,
go.
guys. Take care.
Good.
Bye.